So today we're going to discuss about the
key persons who contributed to the development of
the periodic table of elements.
Anton Lavoisier was a French chemist who conducted work that would revolutionize the science of chemistry. He is known as the father of modern chemistry. Anton Lavoisier helped change the way scientists observed chemistry, the scientists conducting and measuring experiments in the way that it is today. Lavoisier conducted many experiments to show how chemical compounds form by determining the composition of the compounds used in his experiments. The more compounds Lavoisier discovered, the harder it became to memorize their different names. Lavoisier then began to work with other chemists to develop a method for naming new compounds. They were able to write the first list of elements containing 33 elements that were distinguished between metals and non-metals. He considered 33 substances as elements. By his definition, substances that chemical analysis had failed to break down into simpler entities.
Johannes Jacob Berzelius was a Swedish chemist. In 1828, he compiled a table of relative atomic weights, where oxygen was set to 100, and which included all of the elements known at the time. Of significance for the periodic table is that he invented the modern system of chemical notation and established the basic symbols for the elements as used today. In this system, elements are given symbols, and compounds represented by combining element symbols and numbers representing proportions. Other elements attributed to Berzelius are silicon, selenium, thorium, and cerium. Together with John Dalton and Anton Lavoisier, he is considered the father of modern chemistry. As the number of discovered elements increased, chemists inevitably began to find patterns in their properties. In 1829, Johann Wolfgang Dobereiner discovered the existence of families of elements with similar chemical properties. Because there always seemed to be 3 elements in these families, he called them triads.
In 1864, an English chemist named John Newlands was working on the periodic table. He took the elements from the periodic table and classified them in order of their atomic mass. Just 4 years before Mendeleev announced his periodic table, Newlands noticed that there were similarities between elements with atomic weights that differed by 7. He called this the law of octaves, drawing a comparison with the octaves of music. The noble gases like helium, neon, and argon were not discovered until much later, which explains why there was a periodicity of 7 and not 8 in Newland's table. Newlands did not leave any gaps for undiscovered elements in his table, and sometimes had to cram 2 elements into one box in order to keep the pattern. In 1869, a Russian chemist named Dmitry Mendeleev rearranged the elements of the periodic table into vertical columns according to similar characteristics he noticed between them. He placed the similar elements under each other and left gaps for future elements that had yet to be discovered. Mendeleev had developed the original periodic table based on the atomic masses of the elements. He predicated the chemical properties of these unknown elements for which he left gaps. When these elements were discovered, his predictions were very close to the exact properties. The relatively accurate predictions helped persuade scientists that Mendeleev's periodic table was a useful tool.
Julius Lothar von Meyer was a German chemist. He was contemporary and competitor of Dmitry Mendeleev to draw up the first periodic table of chemical elements. About 5 years apart, both Mendeleev and Meyer worked with Robert Bunsen. William Ramsay is a Scottish chemist. In 1892, Ramsay's curiosity was piqued by Lord Rayleigh's observation that the density of nitrogen extracted from the air was always greater than nitrogen released from various chemical compounds. Ramsay then set about looking for an unknown gas in the air of greater density, which when he found out, he named it argon. While investigating for the presence of argon in a uranium-bearing mineral, he instead discovered helium, which since 1868 had been known to exist but only in the sun. This second discovery led him to suggest the existence of a new group of elements in the periodic table. He and his co-workers quickly isolated neon, krypton, and xenon from the Earth's atmosphere. He introduced a whole new group to the periodic table, variously called over time the inert, rare, or noble gases. Due to his discovery of the new group of gases, he won a Nobel Prize in Chemistry award in 1904.
In 1914, an English physicist named Henry Moseley developed an X-ray spectroscopy to study atomic structures. He measured the wavelengths of multiple elements using the X-ray. His results showed that the ordering of the wavelengths and the ordering of the elements by atomic number corresponded. He realized that the elements varied by atomic number and not by atomic weight, which Mendeleev had hypothesized. Moseley reconstructed the periodic table by elements arranged in order of their increasing atomic number. Henry Moseley had created the modern periodic table.
So that will be the end of our tutorial vlog, and we would like to give thanks to
Mr. Hans Christian F. de los Reyes. If you want to know more about physical science, hit the like button and click subscribe.